How addictive is the feeling of getting huge compression on the ball and that buttery strike? Let me share with you the best ways to creating that compression. So when we talk about compression, we're talking about hitting the ball, then turf, having that downward angle of approach and having that club in a strong position. That is what compression is. So how we produce that is a few little tricks really. One of the key things is making sure that our body's back and our arms are forward at contact. What we get with a lot of amateur golfers is the body will be forward and the arms are stuck back, and then we have to flick at the golf ball. So the big message we want to talk about today is, one, the club face relationship and how we need to get that right in order to be able to produce the correct lever release that gives us compression. And two, firing our lead arm forward whilst keeping our upper body back. What happens with a lot of golfers, the upper body moves laterally forward and then the trail arm has to kind of do this to make contact with the golf ball, to hit it straight. We can't from there, when we're forward, fire the arm off because we can't control where the ball goes. So we have to get flicky to get the ball to go in our desired direction. What we see with the best players is as they swing down, the lower half works, the upper half is behind, and the lead arm kind of fires forward to make sure it gets then the correct amount of shaft lean. When we're talking shaft lean, the average tall player, 10 to 11 degrees forward of contact. The average amateur golfer would be about 0 to 1 degree. So we need to get these arms forward whilst keeping this back. One of the other limiting factors we see with amateur golfers is when the club face is open in the downswing, they then have to flick at the golf ball in order to get the ball to go straight. So how do I get the ball to go straight from here? And you see there, quite a nice looking golf shot. Zero power, but the only way I could get that ball to go relatively at the green there in the distance is by stalling the body and letting the hands take over. When the club is in a strong position, so much more parallel to the spine with the club face, I then have to turn and hold it like this in order to get it to go straight. So that way we get two different kinds of releases in terms of the levers. And the levers very much is these wrists and how these wrists work this way. So in order to get compression, we need the club face to be in a strong position, the upper body to be back, and the lead arm to fire off the body to create that later contact and that low point after the golf ball. So a few things there. I want to share with you now a drill that gives you the real feel for the lead arm firing off. The club face, I would just recommend what we were just doing. Practice getting the club face into a stronger position in this delivery position and hit some shots from there, and then start to build your swing into moving the club into that position prior to contacting that delivery position to get used to that. And be aware of where your club face is there. Again, an open club face there is no good for anything apart from short game. Okay, so I've set up a shaft and then a rod out the shaft just to be a bit of a visual and also a little bit of a constraint on my body. The idea would be my normal setup, this would be in between kind of my head and the outside of my shoulder. The idea being at contact and even into the finish, I wouldn't want my head to go into the rod. If it just nudged it with my nose, that would be okay. But the feeling would very much be hips would drive forward and the lead arm, almost like a clothesline as I call it in rugby, kind of a lead arm going forward like this. And a good feel for it is to get down like this in a split grip and just feel your lead arm fire through and create that real huge extension with the arms and the body starting to extend and rotate in order to get that compression. And then we'd build that into hitting some shots, low pace initially, where we wouldn't hit this with our head, but we'd feel like our lead arm fires off the body to make contact. So I'm here. Let's go ahead and hit a small one. Just firing those arms without the head hitting that is the key move. And that one there really felt like beautiful compression. Nice low flighted shot. No chance of it kind of hooking left, which is the shot I get when I get flippy. So what we do then is build up into a fuller swing if we're brave. If we're not brave enough to do it with the rod here, have a rod on the ground, just as a visual, just out in front of the ball here, and use that as a point to think, okay, I'm going to let my body kind of break and my arm fling. Practicing this all the time. Strong position, arm fling. And I have to be honest, I can't hit the ball any better than that. That was such a great feel, such a great compressed shot. I need to take that to my normal swing and to the course. So how we would do that would be to try and do some drills, some feels, practice swings like this. So maybe in the course, one practice swing. And then the conception idea on the course would be, all right, let's try and keep my upper body back, drive the legs and drive the arm through the ball and be committed. Let's try that. So the practice swing would look like maybe even that one arm finish like that. Then get into our normal routine. Keep the head and upper body where I feel is back, arm drive through. Again, loved that shot. Absolutely pure contact, nice little bit of divot action. The straightness in the flight was unreal. Absolutely loved that. So I need to take that to the course. I'd encourage you to do the same. Let's try and spend 5-10 minutes on the practice ground, going through the exercises, checking our club face position, and then taking the routine to the course to transfer it to real pressured strikes while we play.